cast, beautiful cinematography, and a delightfully intelligent script from a Thomas Hardy short story. Day After the Fair is a superbly crafted romantic drama, which, like Cyrano de Bergerac before it, points out the pitfalls awaiting the unwary, who, for whatever reason, write other people's love letters. Leading British actors Anna Massey from Hotel du Lac, Hannah Gordon, Kenneth Haigh, and up-and-coming young Sammi Davis from Mona Lisa get it all together, and I've a feeling Hardy himself would approve this one. And here it is, Day After the Fair.
Good night for trade, sir. Be 30 barrels all told today.
You work well.
He'll be off to the fair now, sir.
Here. Don't spend it on the beer.
They want to fight.
Damn it, they can have one. 30 barrels. 30,000 I'm after.
Evening, sir.
Can't even find my way to my own front door.
Because everyone wants to go to the fair, sir. Cook's bursting to get done and out.
Is she? Where's Mrs. Hart?
Out, sir.
Don't wait on me, Letty.
You can fetch the soup.
Did the meeting not go well?
I invited the gentlemen of the board to meet me here tonight. If Father knew we had made an offer for Tremlett, he'd say we were balmy. Tremlett thinks so as well. Said as much to my face.
Don't forget service and standards, Arthur.
Standards? I won't offend you by saying what goes into Tremlett's beer. The Empire's growing. Our soldiers are out there in the colonies. Don't tell me their throats aren't crying out for some good English beer.
Tell Cook she can go now, Sarah.
Can I go too, Miss Hart?
Yes, yes, you can go too, just as soon as Anna gets back.
Thank you, Mum.
Anna?
Edith permitted her to go out for a short while. I knew about it.
And she didn't approve.
I just felt that if one girl were allowed to go out while on duty, well, it's happened, hasn't it?
There isn't any harm in people enjoying themselves at the fair. It's only twice a year.
You know my opinion, Edith. Servants have work to do. They can't go gallivanting off when the fancy takes them.
I'm trying to help her.
Do what?
Better herself.
Either she's a servant or she isn't. Otherwise, I'd like to know what the devil she's doing here.
I'm going to wait by the back door, Mum. Ready as soon as Anna...
Go on out. And if you see Anna, tell her to come back. Enjoy yourself.
Yes, sir.
Off you go, then.
Thank you, Mum. Thank you, sir. Good night, then.
Tell Anna to come back at once.
Yes, sir.
Do you want potatoes?
Don't do the servants' work for them.
I remember when Father forbade you to go to the fair, Arthur, and you climbed out of the window.
Yes. Some fellow, tongue rough like a tomcat's, reckoned to cure cataracts by licking the eyeballs. Cataract came off like the skin off a hot glass of milk.
How horrible.
You wouldn't think that if you got your sight back. I would have liked some potatoes, as it happens.
You'll have to make do with stewed fruit.
Damn it, Letty, it's your job to run the house.
Edith's quite capable of running her own house, you know. She ran her father's very well and on a vicar's modest income.
We agreed at the outset.
Only because I thought there would be children.
I'll have my cigar in here, if you don't mind.
Oh, Arthur, you don't see further than the end of your nose. I'll see to all this. You go upstairs. Mr. Parnell and the other members of the board will be arriving in a minute. What's this?
I bought it at the fair.
Oh, what a pretty toy. Tremlett's turned down Arthur's offer.
Oh, Letty, she was in paradise. Watching her going round and round. She was with a young man. I had the heart to tell her to come in.
You should have said something. She's in your charge.
I couldn't spoil her happiness. He was a gentleman. Very charming.
You've been reading too many romances, my dear.
I better go up and see Arthur. I know a wife should be there when her husband comes home. Tonight, I promise you, I'll hear everything he says.
We go through the figures, Mr. Harvey. If you made a separate offer for the hop, sleep and offset it right.
If we don't have another damn harvest like last year. Less than 30 bushels an acre.
Good evening, Mrs. Harvey.
Good evening, Mr. Parnell.
Please. Tell Letty we'll take coffee in the study.
He's from London. Does Miss Harden know? No, and nobody's going to tell her neither.
You were very late home last night, Anna.
I didn't know you were awake, Mrs. Arnhem.
And you made me a promise. What would I say to your sister Grace if any harm came to you?
I don't see any harm could come to me, ma'am. Everyone was just happy, enjoying themselves.
And what about Sarah? She was waiting for you so that she could have her turn.
Sarah did go, I saw her.
Because neither Miss Harnham nor I saw any reason why we should let you spoil Sarah's evening. Besides, a young girl isn't safe on her own.
I wasn't on my own, ma'am. I met a fella. Whenever the horses stopped, he was always there, watching. Then he'd pay for me to go on again. He made me tell him my name and all about myself.
And failed to tell you anything about himself, I expect.
Oh, no, ma'am. He did. He's Charles Bradford, and he's from London. And he asked if he could see me again, Mrs. Arnhem, this afternoon. It's my afternoon off.
Did he try to kiss you, Anna?
He said it wouldn't do me no harm.
Any harm. It wouldn't do me any harm.
And it'd do him a great deal of good.
So he did try to kiss you?
Oh, not a proper kiss, ma'am. May I go? He has to go back to London tomorrow.
I think it would be very foolish to try and further an acquaintance which has no future.
But it has. He often has to be down these parts. He said so. And I did tell him that today being my regular afternoon off and you always being so kind.
You may leave the tray, Anna.
But, ma'am, you haven't said anything about this afternoon.
Anna, you're a country girl. You'd never even visited a town until I brought you here.
But he likes country girls better than town girls, he told me.
We just do what is best.
Well, what for? Beg pardon, Mrs. Arnhem.
Now, what's up?
He's a gentleman, sir, not bad like the boys round here.
Who's a gentleman? I think we found the answer to George Tremlett.
I'm glad things are going well.
I found your young lady blubbing her heart out. I told her how she spends her afternoon off is her affair. Anyway, she's all right now.
Do you mean you told her that she could see this man again?
Certainly.
How dare you?
For God's sake, Edith. She's a servant. She knows if she gets into trouble, out she goes.
She's my responsibility.
And this is my household. I'm dining at the White Hart tonight with Mr. Parnell. If you choose, you may join us.
No, thank you.
I can't understand why you deliberately provoked her. You were being quite perverse.
Because I told the girl she could do what she liked with her afternoon off.
Yes. But there's nothing to be gained by going on about it. You'll move. Women are such complicated creatures. Perhaps you're just beginning to find out.
May surprise you, but I learnt a fair bit about women before I met Edith. And I didn't take all my lessons in the drawing room. Does that shock you?
You're capable of being very coarse at times, Arthur.
Your name, Anna?
You know I'm Sarah.
I'm Anna.
It must be where you then.
Who's it from? It's from that fella. What fella? What fella? She says, how many fellas you got? That fella with the hat. Miss Anna Dunsford, ain't that nice? At the Brewer's House, Cathedral Close, Salisbury. Posted in London.
What are you two girls doing? Let me see it.
It's my letter.
So it is. You should be with Mrs. Harnham helping with the things for your sister. Off you go. And don't just stand there with your mouth open. The steps should be done by now.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, there are the boxes, Anna. You can start taking them out.
Yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
Yes?
Has anyone anything to add to my list?
Oh, I hope you've put down bacon, Letty. Arthur found it very salt.
Mr. Harnan always has his bacon green, the way old Mrs. Harnan did.
I didn't find it salt in the least. Will you take these out to the trap?
And sugar soap.
Thank you.
And soup bones. And tell Bowmans we don't want any more Greevely flour.
Tremlett's turned down the new offer. Didn't Arthur tell you?
No.
Not enough for the greedy fellow. Arthur didn't want to worry you, I expect.
He finds me inadequate.
Nonsense. They will appreciate all this, Edith.
Yes. The truth is, one can do so little.
It won't seem little to them. One can always help the poor, you know, without being too extravagant. Where do I sign?
I think you ought to read it first.
My dearest Arthur, if you assure me it's the wisest course for the Harnham family to mortgage itself to raise new capital, I don't have the kind of head to dispute it. After 3 generations, it's time the taste of Harnham beer be known in the furthest corners of the empire.
Hear, hear.
Thank you. Have you discussed this with Edith?
Edith is very little inclined to discuss anything with me at the moment.
Nor you with her.
Yes, it's often said Bible and beer don't mix, cooped up in the vicarage with her father.
Oh, I wouldn't have said you were her only admirer. Oh dear, I shall never get used to this foul smell of yeast. No, Arthur. You pursued her from the moment you set eyes on her. I may know nothing about brewing, but you can't argue with me about that.
You make me so ashamed, Mrs. Arnhem. I don't feel I do half as much as what you did.
You have a family. I only had father to look after.
Oh, it's good to see you, Mrs. Harnham. Though I never can think of you as that, Mrs. Harnham. Don't come easy to say it. How's our Anna? Hope she's working.
Well enough.
I said you'd turn into a proper lady.
Having her there makes me feel I haven't altogether left home.
Oh, Miss Wood. Mrs. Harnham, you've got another home now.
Afternoon, Miss Arnhem. I thought I knew that pony and trap.
Jim, I told you about them boots. And then you can take baby off Mrs. Harnham so she can hold her cup.
You keeping our little Anna busy then, eh? In the big town?
All he thinks about is you saving her keep.
No harm in that. She can't earn her keep here.
No. And anyway, I enjoy having her.
I just come in to turn down your bed, Mrs. Arnhem.
Never mind that, Hannah. Sit down. I've got lots of messages for you.
It weren't that, Ma'am. I got a letter. It come this morning from my young man, from Charles, Mr. Bradford.
Well, what does he have to say?
I don't know, Ma'am. It's all in handwriting.
Oh, you can read it. You've been getting on so well.
Not handwriting, Ma'am.
Then you better ask Cook to read it to you when she has time, or Sarah.
Well, I don't want just anyone to read it, Mrs. Arnhem.
You mean you want me to read it?
I think it's you knowing things so private.
Well, then I won't read it.
But I gotta know what he says.
Go and stand by the window. Then I won't see your face. You ready? 6 Wells Court, Inner Temple, London. Tuesday. Dearest, why have you not written? We agreed you were to write first. Did you think I had forgotten you? Believe me, I have lain awake at nights remembering your sweet face, as I first saw it at the fair, and on the day after the fair, when everything was so loving between us. Surely you have not forgotten me. Pretty Anna, write as soon as you are able, and restore me to a more tolerable state of mind. Your own C.B.
Lavender do smell lovely.
Does smell lovely.
Sarah says you're turning me into a right lady's maid. Not that I ever want to leave here, Mrs. Arnhem. Not ever.
You're very young. You've a long time to make all your decisions. Have you answered your letter?
Oh, Mum.
Anna, you can do it. Look how far you've come since you first practiced those hooks and hangers, and there you've written whole words together. Patience and perseverance brought the snail to Jerusalem.
But that's only copying, Ma'am. I couldn't bear it if he thought I couldn't write properly. I'd sink into the earth with shame if he knew that. You wouldn't write it for me, would you, Mrs. Arnhem? Like you do in the lessons. Would you write it?
I don't think that is the right thing for me to do you?
I don't know what else there is. Save not writing at all.
No, Anna. There is the alternative. Work harder and write it yourself.
Yes, Mrs. Arnhem.
Won't do, really, Anna, will it?
Oh, please, Ma'am, I have tried. Please write it for me, Mrs. Arnhem. I won't ever ask again, I promise.
If I should agree, and I'm still not at all sure that it's the right or proper thing for me to do, I should have to know certain personal things, wouldn't I? That you may not want to tell me.
Yes, Ma'am.
On the day after the fair, this young man hired a fly to drive you both out to the edge of the plain.
To see the old earthworks.
I don't suppose your afternoon off was spent discussing local history.
We just found ourselves a nice little grassy place.
And you talked, I suppose.
Most of the time, we just enjoyed being there. Quiet.
You remember what they used to say about Betsy Hartnell?
'Cause they were sour old maids. There was plenty of girls went on worse than Betsy. A girl can get that hungry she don't always wait for the parson to say grace. That's what Betsy used to say. And they do say that you're unlucky to get caught first time, don't they, Ma'am?
I don't know what they say, Anna.
I'll never see him again if you don't help me. He'll think I don't care about him.
Anna, you mustn't set your heart on a man living 100 miles away from here. You're still only a girl.
I'm a woman, ain't I, Ma'am?
No, Anna. You're still a child. For the first time, you have feelings. Men have very different feelings.
If it were only that, he'd have had no need to write. I couldn't do no other, Ma'am. It would have been against nature. Please, Ma'am. I want to know when he'll be down again and when we're going to be able to see each other. But if he don't get a letter...
If I do.
Please, Ma'am. Shall we do it now, while Miss Arnhem's still at the shops?
What about your household duties?
Well, only Miss Arnhem's room. I'll give it a proper turn-out tomorrow. Please, Ma'am. I want to start off. To my very own true love and most precious sweetheart.
I told you, you cannot begin like that.
Why not?
Because it is both wildly extravagant and very clumsy. Now, in his letter to you, he begins very simply, dearest. But you must remember that a gentleman likes to imagine that he is pursuing the young lady, not the other way around.
Well, what should I begin with, then?
My dear Charles, or dear Charles, or dearest Charles?
I don't like any of those.
I think if I were writing for myself, I should begin beloved. Just that, beloved.
That's what they say in church.
There. Now you see how nice it looks?
Yes, Mum. What should I say next?
You must answer his question. Why you have not written. Yes, well, we know very well why not. Now, what do we say next?
Say how worried I was not hearing, and what a blessed relief it was when his letter come.
Okay, Manna, when his letter came.
I don't want him to think I didn't write because I didn't care one way or the other.
I won't get that impression.
Well, can I say how much I truly love him? Can I, Ma'am?
The whole letter is saying that, Anna.
Say, would he write again soon? And tell me when he'll be here next? Because if I knows, then the waiting won't be so bad. And tell him how I think of him all the time, every blessed minute of the day.
Now, listen carefully. I'm going to read it to you. Beloved, your letter arrived this morning like a burst of sunlight. All my fears and anxieties turned to happiness and relief. I hesitated to write myself, in case you had found on your return to London that the sentiments you expressed were less deeply felt than you supposed. A letter from me might be a tiresome reminder of a chance encounter best forgotten. I am happy to learn my fears are groundless. I live now only for the moment of our next meeting. I hope you will write soon and tell me when we can hope to see one another again. You are always in my thoughts, Anna.
It was a magnificent sermon, all about the demon drink and his work for the devil. I wish you could have heard him.
It was dreadfully upsetting. He works in the East End of London. It made me feel so ashamed.
What have you got to be ashamed of? I'm sure you and everyone else dug deep into your pockets.
I just feel ashamed of turning my back on so much poverty and misery.
What you mean is you both thoroughly enjoyed it, worth every penny of that half-sovereign on the plate.
I couldn't help feeling that we share some of the responsibility.
We're selling beer, not salvation. Some people drink too much, some people eat too much. You're not suggesting that farmers stop fattening cattle because of that.
I don't think that's quite what Edith meant.
What are you suggesting then? Give up and leave the whole field to tremblers.
How else can God do his work except through us? We're only here to do his will.
The difficulty is, to be sure it is God's will, not the other fellas.
I think I will have something this morning, Arthur.
On a Sunday?
Yes. I'm sorry Edith found it so upsetting, but then a good sermon is supposed to upset one, isn't it? Thank you.
Beg pardon. I thought Mrs. Arnhem was in here.
She was feeling tired. She went up to her room.
Well, put some coals on the fire. Don't just stand there. Can't even do her job properly.
Didn't you want no Sunday lunch, Ma'am? There was Yorkshire pudding.
Would you mind putting my hat away for me, Anna?
I was hoping that when you'd finished writing, you might write my letter to Charles.
That will have to wait. I'm writing to Canon Rawsley, offering my help. My father used to talk about the drunkenness he'd seen, but nothing like this.
Oh, I know, ma'am. Drunkenness can be something awful. I don't mean to pester, ma'am, but it's been 4 days since my letter come from Charles. I've been thinking of all kinds of things to say to him. Men are always going to be drunk, Mrs. Arnhem. One day more won't matter to them.
Yes, you're right. One day more won't matter to them. Beloved, somehow I managed to get through the days waiting for your letter. You have been on my mind every moment since it arrived. I knew I couldn't rest my head until I had written to you. Though I am certain when I sleep, you will be in my dreams. I have locked your letter away and will keep it always.
What you write looks really beautiful.
I'm only putting down your feeling. There is so little to say. My life is so unimportant compared to yours.
But I could never put them down like you do, even if I could write so fast. I don't have the words. I'll go out early, after tea, to catch the last post.
Oh, you better go now to be certain. Then we'll have a reply all the sooner. I cannot imagine how I lived without your letters. It's as though you are here with me. And though I still have only ordinary things to do, they are touched by magic. And I feel extraordinary and special too. Cook was cross with me when I forgot to bring in the coals. But I didn't care because I was thinking what it will be like to kiss you again. Don't be cross with me if I tell you how much I miss those moments we spent together. And how I long to see you again. When you write to me, it's as though I hear your voice. If we cannot meet, we still are able to speak to each other. And though we are apart, you are not so far away. It fills me with almost unbearable impatience to hold you in my arms once more. I feel so happy I can't help rambling on. I think my tongue will run away with me when I see you again. Wednesday seems so far away. I am going to stay with my sister Grace till then. 3 whole days. Mrs. Harnham says I deserve a rest. Then I will be back and waiting to feel your embrace.
Grace?
It all hurts. Getting it, carrying it, having it, feeding. They say the first ones don't hurt feeding. But my first poor little mite, God bless him, didn't hardly ever feed. Listen, he drinks like his father, so he don't stink of ale like his father.
Getting it don't hurt. Not really. Grace, mind the baby.
You mind me? What have you been up to? What have you been doing?
Let me get the iron, Grace.
You pick it up and I swear I'll strike you with it. That'll put an end to your bastard. I let you go there to be bettered. There's boys on the farm could give you what you've got.
It's different.
Oh, I've seen him. He thinks the maids in the house is only there for them. Wait till Mrs. Harnham hears.
She do know about him, and she knows he ain't bad.
Well, if he ain't bad, he'll stand by you. You tell him he's got to marry you. And you tell him that you was a good girl before he met you.
I was. He's so handsome, and he talks so soft.
You tell him then. And quick.
I will. On Wednesday. He's coming to see me Wednesday. Mrs. Arnham's been writing to him, so she'll tell him. He'll be all right.
Beloved, I have received your letter, and it grieves me to hear that you are delayed. No, my dearest, I feel no anger against you. If work keeps you away, who can I blame? Just to know you will be coming is enough. To hear your voice, to feel your presence so close, and to whisper, at last, for the first time in my life, the words I long to say. I love you. Beloved, I love you.
You tell her. Them eggs is from hen she got off Stanton's for us.
Move on.
And don't you let yourself be talked into doing nothing that you don't want to.
As I was a-walking one morning in May, I met a pretty fair maid unto her I did say, full love I am inclined,
and I'll tell you me mind that me inclination lies in your cuckoo's nest.
Oh, you're a bad girl, Anna. You ought to know songs like that.
Me darling, says she, I am innocent and young, and I scarcely can believe your false deluding tongue. Yet to see it in your eyes, and it fills me with surprise that your inclination lies in me cuckoo's nest.
Some like a girl as is pretty in the face, and some like a girl as is slender in the waist. But give me a girl that will wriggle and will trip. At the bottom of her belly lies a cuckoo's nest.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, ma'am. They've had an accident in the cart and horse, so we'll come right off. Cook says I was to come and tell you. Oh, dear, ma'am, she looks white as a sheet, and he ain't no better.
Is Jim all right?
Yes. Miss Harnham's looking after him. In the morning, I'll ask Dr. Warren to come and see you.
I don't want no doctor.
We'll see tomorrow.
I gotta get well for Wednesday, haven't I, ma'am?
Anna.
I don't want no doctor. All through the day, I'm saying to myself, this time next Wednesday, I'll be waiting for him. This time next Wednesday, we'll be holding on to each other ever so tight.
Anna, you must listen to me. After you left on Saturday morning, another letter came for you.
He ain't coming.
My very dearest girl, It is with a heavy heart that I find
Does
myself...
that mean he ain't never coming?
No. It just means that he is not coming on Wednesday. He says that next month... Surely,
Mum!
Oh, Anna, I'm going to send for Dr. Warren.
No, I don't want no doctor. I need him. Only, I can't keep it to myself for another month, can I, Ma'am? Grace says I've got to tell him.
Grace?
She says I got all the signs. Certain. You won't tell Mr. Arnhem, will you?
He'll know soon enough, won't he, without my saying a word.
Grace says he's got to stand by me. He's got to. He's always saying he loves me.
What a man says in the course of a correspondence is very different to what he does when he's faced with a real responsibility. The best that we can hope for is that he may be persuaded to make proper financial provision for you.
My Charles will do more than that. He knows what he done.
Plainly, he must be told.
I'm not waiting no month. I'm not having him wriggling out of it. I don't want him thinking I don't know my rights.
Anna!
He must know. I'm worried out of my wits.
Do you think it will be an easy letter for me to write?
You don't have to be gentle with him. It's me what's having the baby.
The important thing is for him not to feel that you're going to be a burden to him. I shall tell him that I need him to write as tenderly as ever. And if he could come down in a month's time, well, we could discuss what had better be done.
Mom, when you come to the end, would you tell him I love him?
What's the matter?
Oh, Leslie. She's going to have a child.
Oh, no wonder you're so upset.
I wish. I envy her.
Good morning, Mr. Harnham.
Is she feeling better?
Yes, thank you.
Where are you off to this morning?
I have several errands.
I'll walk part of the way with you. This will set tongues wagging. Husband out with wife. I'm going to London, Edith. Country Victualers Association Jubilee. It's going to be a ball. Another good place for a husband to be seen with his wife. In a new dress.
London?
Blue suits you, Edith. You were wearing blue when I first set eyes on you, remember?
I spent my dress allowance.
Call it in advance on next year's.
Thank you.
A fine night out with good people, 2 days together. It was good. Off you go, Walter. Double speed. Trot on.
Beloved, I have always written so freely. My words to you seem to run ahead of the ink. Today, they are hanging back, and the nib scratches and blots. Because, in all honesty, I do not know how to begin. My dear one, my dearest Charles, our day together has brought into being another living soul. Do not think I am accusing you. Do not think I am demanding anything from you, but what you are willing to give. We were equal partners in our loving, and to bear your child fills me with a sense of privilege and joy. Forgive me. Can you direct me to Wells Court? I know there are many who would consider it a mortal sin, but I hope that you will share at least something of my happiness, because I can only thank God. I will cherish the innocent life I carry, whatever circumstances lie ahead.
Could you deliver this to Mr. Bradford in number 6?
I need to see you. I have no fears that I will oppress you, because I trust you and will abide by your decisions. Whatever life brings us, I am and always will be your loving Hannah.
If his case is sound, that somewhere is another wise counsel who presumes the same thing, or we would not be going to court.
Mrs. Harnham, my colleagues and their wives left half an hour ago.
I'm sorry.
I've instructed the carriage to be here in 35 minutes.
Yes, Arthur. I apologize for my lateness this afternoon. I promise I will behave dutifully as your wife this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Harnham. We'd better go now.
Thanks.
Aye.
Ain't for you, miss, to give it back.
It is, I know it is. It's my letter.
No, it's not.
Sarah, Anna, go and finish the step, please, Sarah, and close the door.
That is my letter. It's from my Charles.
No, Anna, it is not for you. It's for Mr. Harnham.
But what's he writing to him for?
Will you be returning for dinner, Arthur?
I'm going to London. You will have to deal with this. I shan't be here. I imagine I'm right in thinking you will prefer to stay at home.
Letty? He's written to Arthur.
To discuss Anna's well-being. A settlement. That's most honourable of him. Trusting it will be convenient, I shall call at your office at noon this Thursday.
Arthur's going to be in London. He's passed it on to me.
Oh, dear. And the poor man expecting to meet him. I mean, to talk to another man about such delicate matters is... but to have to face two ladies...
Do you suppose it might be kinder, less humiliating, if he only had to cope with one of us?
Oh, no. I should be far too uncomfortable on my own.
Now, I shall be happy to deal with Mr. Bradford by myself.
I'm sure Arthur wouldn't approve.
Arthur has nothing to do with it. Mr. Bradford? Good afternoon. I am Mrs. Harnham. Anna is my maid.
Of course. I wrote to Mr. Harnham I would come to his office.
Indeed, my husband has asked me to apologize. Business has taken him to London. He thought I might be able to help. I have known Anna all her life.
I have only an hour, Mrs. Harnham.
Only an hour?
I have to take the connecting train.
I thought we could discuss the situation more pleasantly over a pot of tea. The cakes here are delicious. The proprietor's wife is from Budapest. Harnham's, of course, supply the beer. Anna is in the country, Mr. Bradford, with her sister.
My business is with you. Am I right in assuming, as far as Anna is concerned, you and Mr. Harnham are acting in loco parentis?
In a sense, yes. Her parents are dead. But, of course, there is no legal...
No. But for practical purposes. Which is why I'm here. Before we proceed, let me tell you something about myself. I am by profession a barrister.
A barrister?
At the moment, just a junior in chambers. Barely existing on the few crumbs that fall from the high table. But I work hard, and on my feet I've a certain fluency, which has already earned me several useful commendations, so I'm not without prospects.
Forgive me. What has this to do with Anna?
When I first saw her that evening, I'm on the Western Circuit. I knew no one, so it wasn't hard for me to fall into conversation with a sweet and friendly girl.
Anna is a very natural child. Some would call her ingenuous.
I can understand that this is how she must seem to you. Just another girl from a country village. But I've had the good fortune to discover qualities in her which I'm sure you're unaware of. Now, I know what you're going to say, Mrs. Harnham. I was only here for 2 days. But since then, Anna and I have been writing to each other.
Really?
Twice a week, at least. Sometimes more often than that. I'm not ashamed to admit that I know several of them by heart.
That should flatter your correspondent. It is a confidence.
Please. It will surprise you.
I can see that it is literate.
If you were less modest and would read it, you would also admit she writes very elegantly.
As long as she pleases you.
She does.
But it is so very rare here.
Of course. There is one particular letter which I want you to read. Very well. It is a private matter. It was this letter which finally made up my mind to come down here and make my intentions clear to those most concerned with Anna's welfare. I'm going to ask her to marry me. Mrs. Harnham?
Of course, I want Anna to be happily married. On the other hand...
What, on the other hand?
You are a professional man, and I don't mean to disparage her, but...
You are naturally concerned with the differences in our social status. But believe me, Anna's letters reveal an extraordinary sensitivity and intelligence. I have met no one in my own circle with whom I felt such a bond.
Mr. Bradford, I beg of you, how can a girl like Anna provide all the requirements of her position as your wife?
What she doesn't know, she will learn. May I take it that you're not wholly against the plan? Then may I trespass a little further on your kindness? I thought that the Michaelmas Day festival would be a suitable day. Would that be convenient for you?
You mean you want to be married from the house?
If you agree. We will marry at the register office. With you and Mr. Harnham as witnesses, of course, if that is convenient.
Your best man and another might be wiser as witnesses.
Then we shall take the train back to London.
And live happily ever after.
I think we will. When one is in love, that is a firmer foundation than pounds, shillings, and pence, don't you think?
Yes, indeed. That is how marriage should be. You'll be down again soon?
No, not if my clerk has his way. We shall just have to continue our courtship by correspondence. Thank you. You have been very kind to us both.
Letty? Did you come to a satisfactory arrangement?
Yes. He's going to marry her.
Marry her? Oh, good gracious. Of course, it's perfectly right that he should.
No, Letty, it's perfectly wrong. He's young and clever and educated, and she can't read properly. She can't speak properly. She has no social graces whatsoever.
Then I wonder why he decided to marry her.
Because he thinks he's in love with her.
And isn't he?
No. She's going to be a millstone round his neck.
How can you be so certain? She's pretty and lively, and she's carrying his child. Many men do worse. Let's give this a shake. Oh!
You're not supposed to be sitting in here. Mrs. Arnhem told me to.
Charles Bradford, Charles Bradford, Charles Bradford.
It's the copy, stupid.
Beloved, beloved. It's a daft word, beloved.
Charles calls me dearest. What does Carl call you?
Hello, me old love. How about some slap and tickle? Though I'm getting tired of walking out. It's all right in summer, but in winter, oh. Carl's been 12 years at Harnham's. Still not yet got a promise of a house.
We're not having an house. Only furnished rooms. We gotta go ever so careful to start off with.
Never mind that. You'll be living like a lady.
Charles has ever such a lot of friends. He says I can have a tea party every day if I like, till I get to know 'em all.
Every day?
Well, perhaps not every day. I expect some days I should be out paying calls myself.
Paying calls? Oh, my.
Well, that's what life's like in London.
Mrs. Harnham tells me you'll soon be leaving us.
Yes, sir.
I would have thought you'd had enough practice writing to your young man.
Oh, I don't write those, sir. Mrs. Arnhem writes them for me. I mean, she writes them down and I tells her what to write.
When one of our girls gets married, we like to have a little celebration ceremony.
I don't think there will be time. They have a train to catch.
They can catch a later train. We can't have Anna done out of her wedding breakfast. There, that's settled then. We drink a toast to the bride and groom.
I don't believe you're even trying.
I am trying, truly. Only I can't write them like you do.
Surely for someone you love, you could make the effort. If you can't be bothered now, what kind of wife are you going to be?
Won't matter once we're married, will it, Mrs. Arnhem? I can't write them.
There are 7 or 8 more letters to write, and you are going to write them.
But even if I could, I couldn't, could I? He'd know. I think if he was to change his mind now, I'd make an end to myself.
Don't talk in that wicked manner.
Well, what kind of a life would I have to look forward to? Once I'm married to him, he'll be happy. You don't know what it was like when I was with him. He wasn't bothered about old letters and spelling.
You stupid girl, it was only the letters that made him decide to marry you.
No, it weren't. It's me once. Over and over, he's told me.
Oh, I'm sure he found you wholly desirable, but he was looking for something more. He found it in my letters.
You're just saying that.
He told me.
You've seen him?
Yes.
Without telling me?
Anna! 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 Don't you run from me! Anna! Anna! How dare you?
Letters don't matter. They're only letters.
If you had shown any interest at all in what was being written, you wouldn't be saying such stupid things now.
Well, I tried. But you wouldn't listen. You always wrote them your way.
And his letters, you didn't care about them either. The only thing that interested you was whether or not he was coming down.
Well, that's real, that's why.
Oh, he found the letters real. Each one discovering a little bit more about you, only it's not you he's come to know, is it? It's me.
In his head. He only knows you in his head. He really knows me. He's never even touched you.
I'm not going on. I'm not writing another word. You can tell him or not. It's not just him. It's the effect this is having on me.
It can't have any effect on you. You're married.
Can't you even... To have to write to this man for weeks on end to pretend to a physical condition.
Please, ma'am.
Every letter from him I read as if it was meant for me. Because I want him, Anna. I want him.
You didn't.
Do you think a man like Charles Bradford would let himself be captured by a common, ignorant servant girl? These were my thoughts and my feelings. He cared for me. And I have his letters to prove it.
And I have his baby.
Is Mrs. Harnham's headache gone?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I thought she might feel better if she had something nice and hot to drink.
Oh, that's very thoughtful of you. We'll put in a little brandy. I always think that helps.
Thank you, ma'am. Say sorry, Mrs. Arnhem. I didn't rightly understand. You've been so good and kind to me. You only started to help me. I beg you not to tell him, ma'am. It won't make much difference to you, but it will to me. If I marry him, I'll be as good as gold to him. He needn't know about the letters, not to start with. Then I'll have the baby and he wouldn't even care. He wouldn't leave his lovely baby, would he? Why shouldn't he be happy in London with me? And if he's happy, then that's what we both want, isn't it, ma'am? Drink your milk, ma'am. It's got brandy in it.
Thank you.
You won't stop writing now, will you, ma'am? You will write to him for me, won't you?
beloved. I should have turned down your offer of marriage. What would you do if you arrived before the registrar and found your Anna gone? My fear is that it is only my condition that prompted you to propose. Then I tell myself that you are loving and honorable, and it is not only your generosity of spirit that makes you anxious to share your life with me. You will not regret it. I love you with all my heart. And when we are pronounced man and wife, why, I will be as near to heaven as is possible on this earth. And I promise you, if it is in my power, you will be the happiest man in God's kingdom. My dearest Charles, I love you. Anna.
You are here to witness the joining in matrimony of Charles Edward Bradford and Anna May Dunsford. If anybody present knows of any lawful impediment to this marriage, he should declare it now. Please stand. Is your full name Charles Edward Bradford?
It is.
Is your full name Anna May Dunsford?
It is.
Take the ring and say after me, I call upon these persons here to witness.
I call upon these persons here to witness.
That I, Charles Edward Bradford.
That I, Charles Edward Bradford.
Take thee, Anna May Dunsford.
Take thee, Anna May Dunsford.
To be my lawful wedded wife.
To be my lawful wedded wife.
I call upon these persons here present to witness.
I call upon these persons here present to witness.
That I, Anna May Dunsford.
That I, Anna May Dunsford.
Take thee, Charles Edward Bradford.
Take thee, Charles Edward Bradford.
To be my lawful wedded husband.
To be my lawful wedded husband.
Charles Edward Bradford, Anna May Dunsford. You have sworn a solemn and binding contract together in the presence of the witnesses here assembled. You are now man and wife together.
Congratulations, Mr. Bradford.
Thank you, Mrs. Harnham.
May I add my congratulations, Mr. Bradford?
Certainly.
Aren't you going to join us, Arthur?
Just drinking a private toast. It's in print, Betty, in the Times.
Read it to me.
Further extension of brewing interests in the southwest. The chairman of Harnham's, Mr. Arthur Harnham, third generation of the brewing family, told our reporter this makes Harnham's not only the oldest, but by far the largest brewing firm in the southwest of England. The whole of the southwest. Harnham's control Tremletts.
I'm so pleased for you. Come, you must be there to see them cut the cake.
They love it, don't they? They should hire you to run the royal household. Only, I don't know how we'd manage here without you.
You'll manage very well. But you're going to have to be very gentle with Edith for a while.
What are you talking about?
I've decided we all need a change. I'm moving out.
Moving out?
Yes. Cousin May has offered me board and lodging in Weymouth.
Weymouth, for God's sake. This is your home. You were born here. You've lived your whole life here.
You don't need me, you know.
You have Edith. But who's going to manage everything? I mean...
Edith. She'll do it very well. It's how it should have been from the day you married her.
Does Edith know?
You must tell her. Very nicely.
Where's his glasses?
You've done us proud, Mr. Harnham. I'm very grateful. And so is my wife.
To your married bliss.
You've got to have a slice of your own wedding cake, ain't you, Mr. Harnham?
Thank you, Sarah. You'll be next to the altar with a lad from my brewery.
When we get a house, sir.
That's right, miss. The young have to wait for an elder to depart this world, if you know what I mean.
Indeed. I was able to write to Anna. I'd found rooms in the market gardens of Kensington.
Well, Mrs. Harnham won't have to write no letters for me, will she? Because I can read and write.
I know you've a train to catch, but they'll be expecting a few words from me. Nothing elaborate. But you'll have to reply. Think you can manage it? So, if you'll let me tell them a few words about you.
I was born in London, sir.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Bradford?
I'm a barrister, sir. Lincoln's Inn.
Oh, my dear fellow. Nobody told me. So you won't be shy about standing up to say a few words?
No, sir.
Yes, a breach of promise case, and everything in the garden's lovely. The maiden gives her evidence with blushes on her face, and everything in the garden's lovely.
He said he'd marry me, my lord his love be off confessed, but presents of the best, and held me to his breast. And if you please your lordship, I'll whisper all the rest.
Hey, everything in the garden's lovely. Everything in the garden is absolutely grand.
Everything in the garden is great, you'll understand. You will soon learn by his face, as he listens to her case, that everything in the garden's lovely. A lady on her tweety canter down a country lane, and everything in the garden's lovely. And close behind a smart young groom is following in her train, and everything in the garden's lovely. But suddenly her horse takes sight, the brute begins to sigh. The lady...
He said, couldn't help it, man. Everything in the garden, lovely. Hey!
What are you doing in here? You can't just come in here.
You're not a servant anymore, Anna. You can do what you want.
You done that for me, Charles.
I was looking for Mrs. Harnham.
What for? Oh, Charles, can I wear it now?
It's for your mistress.
You just said I haven't got one.
To thank her for all her kindness from us both.
I'll take it up to her.
I think it will add to her pleasure if you write her a personal note.
I think that'd be stupid.
Just a few words of gratitude. Won't take a moment. My first request to my wife.
I didn't write them. She did. But I am learning, I am. I won't make you ashamed of me.
You mustn't cry on your wedding day.
I know I've done wrong. You won't hate me for it, Charles. I do love you.
You better get back to the party.
Do I look all right?
Pretty as always.
I knew it. I knew it weren't those silly old letters.
I was hoping to find you, Mrs. Harnham.
Mr. Bradford?
I was about to make a speech of thanks to you, but you'd gone. Anna and I would be most happy if you'd accept this very inadequate token of our gratitude. Not genuine, I'm afraid. Anna began a little note to go with it. Unhappily, she didn't get very far. The letters were yours.
I wrote them for Anna.
But you wrote them, Mrs. Harnham.
Yes, I was trying to help her.
And the feelings and thoughts you expressed so touchingly, were they Anna's?
I put down what I would have written had I been in her position.
You had such concern for her.
Yes. Yes, I was concerned for her.
But not for me. You deceived me. Yes, Mrs. Harnham, you deceived me. Successfully and cleverly.
I swear to you that I
never meant to deceive me. Never meant to chain me to a little peasant.
No.
A pretty, pregnant little peasant. You must be very proud today.
It was wrong of me.
A game, then. A little amusement for the lady of the house.
Kindness. Simple kindness to Anna.
To find her a husband. To trap me.
No.
I admit, I went on for other reasons.
What other reasons? You must say, Mrs. Harnham.
Writing freely to someone brought me a kind of happiness, I think.
Why should it bring you happiness?
Because I had begun to open my heart to someone. I should not have started.
The letters were not just make-believe. The feelings were true. They were yours. Then it would appear that you and I are lovers, Mrs. Harnham. Lovers by correspondence. Legally, I have married Anna. In my heart, I've married you.
They were Anna's thoughts. I simply put them down. She loves you. You married her.
That is a fact. It is unlikely I shall ever forget. We are lovers, Mrs. Harnham. Whatever we are, true or false,
You are a man of the law, Mr. Bradford. You deal with deception by the clever use of words every day of your life. Of course you're shocked. You have just found out that Anna cannot write. We all discover many secret things about our lovers on the day that we marry. Some are welcome, some of them are not. They were Anna's thoughts. I simply wrote them. And she will learn to write. And all the other requirements you need in a wife. Because she has you. And you will both have your baby.
And you, Mrs. Harnham?
I will be happy that Anna is happy. Will you forgive me, Mr. Bradford?
No, Mrs. Harnham. I shall never forgive you.
My Charles says I ain't a servant no more, but I am. And I ain't. So I'm going to ask you to dance with me, sir.
The fellow knows how to put his thoughts into words. No wonder she fell in love with him. I never was much of a man for writing letters.
I'll see them off.
Stay tuned now for a review of Steven Spielberg's Empire of the Sun, and meet Cher, the beautiful star of Moonstruck, in interview, along with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, talking about their latest movie, Overboard. Plus all the details of all the new movies coming soon to a theatre near you.